I have to tell you, Joyland is a film that I have been incredibly proud of. I mean, what a movie it is. So a huge congratulations. It's finally having its release.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Well, you know what, Simon? The film captures the essence of entrapment and farce through the 1:37 Academy ratio. The camera work really picks up the dysfunctional state of society. And so tell me, whose cinema inspired these technical aspects, and how challenging was it to fuse creativity with realism?
A lot of cinema. I think when it's your first film, there's like of all the cinema that you've seen in all your life, kind of makes its way into your first movie in some way or the other. Whether it's Bollywood or whether it's Paul Thomas Anderson or whether it's Kieslowski or Satyajit Ray or Bergman. There are a lot of filmmakers that I've loved and admired. Wong Kar-wai, and there wasn't really one particular inspiration, in that sense. It was more sort of following the story and whatever felt right in terms of how a particular scene should be filmed and whose perspective we should be in and how we should film that perspective. That was sort of more the focus for me and my DP and my production designer and the whole team. Um, I there was a the visual aesthetic came from the script, that I had. I always wanted it was very clear that we had this ensemble nature of film which had a bunch of characters, and we wanted to sort of make sure that whenever we are alone with either of them, we give their subjective experience, priority. But whenever there's two of those characters that are together, that we try to be objective, so we don't take a side. So we shoot the scenes in a more objective way when it's between Haider and Mumtaz or Haider and Biba. But when Haider is alone, we of course in his subjective experience, because I think that moral complexity that we wanted to get at without giving very easy answers as
Yeah.
to who to root for, because all of these characters are well within their right to want what they want, but their wants are conflicting. If Haider wants something, it probably comes at a cost of what Mumtaz wants. And to allow the audiences to sort of be in on that struggle and not find the right answer really as to they should root for, at least until the very end,
Yes.
was something that I was interested in. And so the creative choices were very much sort of, and the aesthetic choices were very much sort of defined by that emotional choice, I think, which superseded any aesthetic choice that I had.
And I think what I find fascinating is the fact that the movie questions patriarchy and gender stereotypes as key themes. In what way, if at all, has kind of studying abroad helped you to introspect on issues back home in Pakistan?
I think I was studying abroad, but more so sort of being able to. I went to New York for my master's when I want to say 20 23 years old, and I graduated when I was 27. And it's such a formative time, your mid 20s, and just to be able to be away from what the society and the life that you've lived until you were 23 years old, which you almost a fully formed human being. You've accumulated all the traumas that you had to accumulate, and now to be able to get away at 23 is a great time because now you can process it, and sort of have some another kind of life to contrast it with, and that I think was very key, personally for me, because this is a personal film. Um, to get that distance from the life that I had always lived, and to see a different kind of life where these ideas were still very much in play. It's not like New York is a society that's free of patriarchy or sexism. It's
Mm,
very much prevalent there as well in different ways, in more
definitely.
subtle ways, in microaggressions. Um, but to see that there is, they've moved from they used to be perhaps a more stringent version of patriarchy that we still follow in Pakistan, and they've sort of moved the needle to a very large extent.
Yeah.
And getting that distance was very helpful, to be able to write it, because I think I wrote majority of the film while I was in New York. And that distance kind of allows you to be a bit more courageous also, I think, to be more vulnerable, because if you're still very much in the thick and thin of things that you're writing about, it's a bit tricky, because you're a bit more closed off as a writer, about your personal truths going into the script.
Even though the film is visually enticing, the dark nature of Joyland must have really taken a toll on your mental health. And you just spoke about vulnerability and strength there. So, how did you maintain a positive psyche whilst working on a story like this?
I think just the adrenaline of wanting to make a film, and having like an end goal, that we need to eventually what we're doing is we're making a film. We need to get the financing to make this film. We need to get the actors to make this film. We need to finish this film. We need to put this film into the festival circuit. Okay, so just having those sort of uh,
The mechanical approach
professional
of
steps, the
filmmaking.
mechanical approach, the professional steps to be like, oh, I'm doing this because of my profession. It's my career to make a film, and that's why I'm making this film. Kind of
Mhm.
overriding you through the sort of that, oh no, it's a personal story and it's doing things to me. That helped a lot because there's you need to just sort of check a bunch of boxes one after the other, and so you really focused on that. But it certainly took a toll, but also it was, I would say, it was in a way the other way around. It was quite cathartic, to be able to speak, to be able to be on a set where all these people were sort of equally invested in, emotionally speaking, in the film as you are, and bringing their own truths into it as actors, as a DP, as literally my ADs, my production designer, costume designer, everybody was sort of approaching this film with so much emotion and almost taking it so personally that it just became a very cathartic experience for all of us. That, oh, we're gonna do our best to do right by these characters, because we understand what these characters are going through, because we all have gone through at least some of this or all of this at some point in time. Um, and
Mhm.
so being able to sort of eventually finish the film and see it on a big screen with the whole crew was very, very cathartic. That, oh, we managed to make this movie. Okay, great. It feels truthful to us and to our experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the fact that you got a standing ovation in Cannes, I think is a really huge testament to that. But I think, look, when it comes to the mechanical approach, but one thing that we can never brace ourselves for is when literally jab jaan ki baat aati hai, you know? And obviously fundamentalists back home obviously threatened to ban the film. So I think when it comes to things like this, how does a filmmaker who presents a thorny but relevant story like this overcome fear and political pressures as well? I mean, what helped you to overcome that fear?
I don't know if we overcame the fear. We overcame the ban, but I don't know if we overcame the fear. If I'm honest about it, the fear is perhaps we didn't even process it at that time. When it was sort of most active, when I had to sort of delete my Facebook and stop seeing messages and DMs that I was getting on my Instagram, because I was like, okay, no, too many people want my mother dead, and my mother has nothing to do with this film. She
Oh,
probably won't even like the film so much when she sees it. So we were like, we're trying to do again. There's a thing we need to do. We need to get this film to in theaters in Pakistan. So again, you kind of latch on to that one mechanical thing that you need to do for the film, and you erase the fact that people are out for your throat. At least some people are out for your throat, and that gets you by on a certain level. And am I free from the fear of perhaps no? Actually, I'm more aware of the fear because
mm,
now I've experienced it, and now going into my whatever I make next, I that's when I will really need to battle it to make sure I'm still able to perhaps talk about whatever I want to talk about as honestly as possible, and not go back on the time when my film was banned, and I got stuck in this chaotic situation, and not let it define the way I write a scene or the way I shoot a scene.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think no one knows bands more better than your producer, Sarwat, whose work I'm very, very a huge fan of, by the way. And what I observed, which I found very fascinating, is that the main character, Rahat, in Zindagi Tamasha, he acts as a window to show a dismantled and complex world. And here you use Biba to do the same. So how much impact did Sarmad Khoosat's vision have on the storytelling? And when again was the moment where you became so passionate about Joyland? And I think a bit more of an extended question because you've got to wrap up. And how effective do you think this film will be in sort of helping the transgender community in Pakistan? Because even now they're still in danger as well of laws that even protect them. People are voicing against that. So how do you think all these aspects came into play here?
So, I mean, Sarmad, my first job in the industry was Sarmad gave it to me. I was his assistant for a year. So he was like, and that was before I went to film school for my master's. So Sarmad was really my first film school in a way. He was my boss and my director, and I was the AD. So I learned how to be on set. I learned so much from him. So just the basic ethics of being on set was something that were taught to me by Sarmad, and how to, I don't know, just like the whole just my way of being, understanding professionalism on set, of understanding empathy on set, of understanding a lot of it has to do with what I observed in Sarmad, and what he taught me. So, and I was just so glad that we became friends after that experience, and he came on board as a producer of the film. So of course, he gave the film so much that I'll always be thankful for. As far as the other thing about, I mean, I don't know if a film can really change the state of a whole community's existence in a country. I think that's too much pressure for a film. I think it's and I don't know if any film has ever done that for any. And yes, you can project them in a certain truthful light that kind of acts as an antidote to the vast majority of negative representation and mockery and caricaturish sort of characterizations that they have been a victim of for many decades in Pakistani industry, in media and television and film. And this one sort of acts as a level of, levels the playing field a little bit, but it's really just one Joyland against many other, pieces of work that have furthered our transphobia into every person's, subconscious. And I hope that there's just more of it. I don't know if Joyland alone can do much in terms of changing their lives in the country, but at least it brings them to the forefront that yes, they do exist. If they exist on our streets and they exist in our homes and they exist in our markets, they can exist in our stories as well, and they can exist on the big screen, and that's okay, and that's allowed, and we have to just accept it and move on. If it makes you uncomfortable, don't watch it. Don't
The
watch
fact
that film.
Sure. And the fact that Legend of Moraja did really well. And obviously, economically, there's a lot of challenges that the country is facing at the moment, which is obviously very, very unfortunate to see. But do you kind of feel now, especially Legend of Moraja that did really well, it was an amazing movie as well, did great business. Do you kind of feel now that there is more of an onus on cinema now to sort of perhaps lift up the economy and to perhaps be that ray of light for the country too now as well?
Again, I don't know if we can, our economy is rather huge, and cinema as well as Molaja did is still unfortunately rather limited, because there are only that many theaters. There's about 120, 130 theaters in total in a country of 250 million people.
Mhm.
That's just not, even that doesn't cut it even close to a big industry to speak of. So, but films like these and many more films of all kinds, bigger films like Monajat, smaller films like Joyland, a third kind of film, just the frequency of these hopefully will increase because of the past year that we've had, where we had a bunch of standout films, a bunch of standout sort of TV shows, etc. That the industry, film industry, somehow has become a place to reckon with. That our director can go and direct Miss Marvel. Our actors can be in Miss
Mhm.
Marvel. A
Yeah.
Mola Jat can do great business. A Joyland can go to Khan. A Kamli can sort of introduce a new genre of filmmaking into the Pakistani landscape. All of those things, I think, can hopefully turn it into a bigger industry, and then we'll hopefully see it have a bigger impact on the economy. But just generally speaking, at least it before it has an impact on the economy, at least it gives us a real form of entertainment for people. Which I think is the biggest point. People want to just step into a theater and forget about their real lives for 2 hours. And I think just giving them that is the point of cinema, and I think hopefully that will be achieved. We will continue to achieve that in the coming years.
Yes, definitely, Saim. But thank you so much for joining me on Filme Shilmy. Joyland
Thank
is a
you.
very, very special film, and you've definitely made your
Thank you.
country very proud. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for this wonderful film. It's a great tribute to our
Thank you.
country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Anuj.
Later. Bye.
Bye bye.